All right, guys, let's go. We're going to talk about USCIS, their latest email about their top accomplishments since President Trump took office. Guys, this is shocking stuff. They share some data in this email that we're going to read together. They share some data, guys, involving the number of people that they have actually coordinated the arrests at their office. They've coordinated with law enforcement to arrest individuals at their office. They have coordinated with ICE to send people over to ICE, refer people over to ICE who have a criminal record. Guys, we're going to get into it in this one. I'm Latoya McBean Pompey, an immigration lawyer in New York, working with clients globally at McBean Law. Friends, if you have not yet seen my first video about USCIS and what they're up to, I'm going to link to it here. Go watch that video because in it, I shared with you guys some tips about what you should do as you're now approaching USCIS with your applications. Now let's get into their email. This is an email that they sent about the first 100 days, USCIS delivering on making America safe again. Remember, USCIS has shifted to a law enforcement cap. That's how they operate today. They say here through a quote from one of the spokesperson, he says, in the first 100 days, USCIS put a stop to disastrous Biden-era humanitarian policies that invited fraud and allowed criminal aliens to legally live and work in our communities. We've facilitated the arrest of criminals attempting to gain immigration benefits. And for the first time in decades, we are ensuring every alien in the United States is registered as required by law. And then get this, guys, because they are putting it all on the table. Aliens, immigration attorneys, and non-government organizations, take note. The days of exploiting our immigration system are over. Aliens who want to live and work in America need to do it legally or get out. Or get out. You guys heard that, right? Now, wow. My goodness, you cannot get any harsher than that. Now they're getting into the accomplishments that they see as accomplishments. First of all, they say that 47,000 people have registered under the Alien Registration Act. 47,000. Then they go on to say that some of their people are volunteering their time by working with ICE at the different field offices, the ICE field offices. They say USCIS currently has 450 volunteers detailed to ICE supporting 85 facilities across the country. 450 people. And by the way, at the same time, there is a shift also at the agency to reduce their staff. So get ready for longer processing times because they're offering payouts and all of those early retirement and those types of things. So that's what USCIS also has going on in the background. Now let's keep going with this press release. They say here they have been actively involved in making sure that 369 people are arrested at their offices. It says here is actively engaged in cross-agency partnerships in immigration enforcement and public safety, including having facilitated 369 arrests at USCIS field offices since January 20th, 2025. Yes, they're saying we're the ones making it happen. We're the ones who lured those people or invited them in for an interview, and then we set them up and we turned them over to law enforcement. Now, let's keep going with this email. Shocking stuff here that they're just putting it out on the table. They're saying we are involved in all of this. They go on to say that they've terminated those various Biden parole programs. They've stopped broad abuse of humanitarian parole authority by ending the Cuban, Haitian, Nicaraguan, and Venezuelan parole program. Then they say that folks should use that CBP-1 home app to report their departure from the United States. If you haven't seen my video yet, also, guys, about the fact that there is a big push to get people to self-deport and questions you should ask yourself before you self-deport. Make it a very informed decision. Watch that video. Now, let's keep going. Then they get into the numbers that really caught my attention. This is all about screening and vetting individuals, trying to dig deeper into their file, into their application, into their background, dig deep into it. That's what this vetting and screening is all about. Since January 20th, 2025, USCIS completed 7,120 benefit fraud records. They're going through and reviewing, I guess, fraud records. And then they've identified fraud in 4,664 records. Okay, fine. They should be doing that anyway, right? But here's the interesting part. They have referred 462 benefit fraud records to ICE for further actions, and individuals who have a criminal record, they have also referred over to ICE for criminal investigation or enforcement, and that's 4,672 records. Apparently, these are public safety records that are really bad that they have referred over to ICE for further investigations. They've completed 221 site visits to workplaces, and they've screened 3,568 individuals' social media activity. So they're actively looking at social media specifically related to anti-Semitism. They say here actually USCIS adopted social media vetting for anti-Americanism. Please, someone help me out. What is anti-Americanism? When I first read this, I thought they were talking about anti-Semitism, which is the policy that they told us about. Now they're talking about anti-Americanism to consider social media content that indicates an alien endorsing, espousing, promoting, or supporting anti-Semitic terrorism, anti-Semitic terrorist organization, or other anti-Semitic or anti-American activity as a negative factor in any of the USCIS discretionary analysis when they are adjudicating your immigration benefit requests. That is a mouthful. That is a lot. Yes, we know what anti-Semitism means, but now we have to wrap our head around what anti-Americanism is and how that plays a role in their decision-making process when they're reviewing green card applications, citizenship applications, and such. What are they looking for as far as anti-Americanism? Is it that if there is a social media post criticizing the Trump administration with respect to their immigration policies and such, is that considered anti-Americanism and something that they will use against an individual to then deny their application? It sounds to me like that's what this is. That's how I'm reading this. If you're reading this differently, please tell me below. But that's how I view this anti-Americanism. Any criticism of the Trump administration could very well be considered anti-Americanism. This is wild stuff. This is truly sad, but this is how I'm reading this language. Then it goes on to say some other stuff about the fact that they've changed the gender policy back to 2 sexes, and they've gotten rid of the COVID vaccine requirement. And then they end it by saying, sanctuary cities, we're no longer going to coordinate our naturalization oath ceremonies with you anymore. Nope. We're not coordinating with New York City or Los Angeles on oath ceremonies. Guys, how petty is that? How petty is that? Someone goes through the legal process to become a U.S. citizen, and traditionally, these ceremonies are coordinated by USCIS. They're now saying that if you're in a sanctuary city, we're not going to work with that sanctuary city to coordinate your oath ceremony because we're upset with sanctuary cities and we're trying to punish them. How petty is that? Friends, comment below. Let me know your thoughts. This is an unscripted video. This was such a disturbing email that USCIS sent out. It doesn't really set the right tone. Comment below. Let me know your thoughts, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.